up to 15 turbines on the Kintradwell estate to the north of Brora in the Highland Council area. At our first meeting on the 22nd of June, we agreed that we would meet a second time to review arrangements for the inquiry commencing on the 1st of November, given the position of the pandemic at that time and the prospect of being able to hold an inquiry in person later in the year. We also agreed to defer decisions on where an in-person event might be held and arrangements for accompanied site inspections to this meeting. So these matters will be the focus of our discussion today. I'd also like to check progress on the preparation and submission of documents and ensure that everyone has either received or has access to the information they require to participate fully in the inquiry. Now, for those of you that didn't attend the first pre-examination meeting or haven't had the opportunity to review the webcast, my name's Andrew Sykes. I'm a reporter with the Scottish Government's Planning and Environmental Appeals Division, generally known as the DPEA, and I've been appointed by the Scottish Ministers to consider the application and report my findings and recommendations to them. Now, before I go any further, there's a few things I'd like to say about today's meeting. Firstly, I don't intend to rehearse or indeed review everything that we agreed at the first meeting, so please refer to the notes of that meeting for the background to the case and for the procedures that we'll be following. And secondly, the meeting is being broadcast live to the DPA website, and that a video record of this meeting will be retained on the website until ministers have taken a decision on the application. Now, by taking part in this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images and sound recordings and any information pertaining to them for webcasting and training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Now, as I say, the purpose of today's meeting is solely to discuss and confirm arrangements for the inquiry and site inspections. As before, there'll be no discussion concerning the merits or otherwise of the application or of parties' cases. You should have all have received an agenda for today's meeting, which was issued by my office last week. Are there any questions on my introductory comments before we go any further? Okay. Okay, moving to the second item, I'd now like to invite the main parties to introduce themselves. I'll start with the applicant, then we'll move to the council, followed by Loth residents, and I have here the Borough Community Council. I'm not sure anybody's here from Community Council, but we can pick that up as we go through. So, Mr. Trinick, if you'd like to introduce your team, please.
Thanks. Yes, good morning. Marcus Trinick, a solicitor of Queen's Counsel, instructed by Nicola Martin, a partner in Wright Johnson Mackenzie, who's sitting to my right in the room. Sitting to her right is Paula Batchelor, who's project manager for the applicant company for Scotland. On screen, you will see Gavin Shirley, who is project manager for Kintradwell Wind Farm. And to my left, there is Simon Herriot, who will be dealing with policy matters at the inquiry. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Trinick. Mr. Finlay for the council.
Yes, sir. My name's James Finlay, Queen's Counsel in both Scottish and English bars. Today we have Simon Heinson, Anne Cowling, Peter Whelan and Karen Lyons, the latter of whom instructs me. Perhaps I can jump ahead and say I also represent Loth residents.
Indeed,
yes. And we have
okay.
John Whitfield for them. And through them, I'm certainly at the landscape and visual session assisting Brora Community Council, who are represented today, or at least a representative of the council is here today in the form of Diana Royce.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Valentovitz, I see you here. I'm a little unclear. When we had the first pre-examination meeting, you weren't able to join us, and I've seen a few emails being exchanged, and I'd just like to confirm your position with regards to your participation in the inquiry.
Okay, good morning, sir, and everyone else. My name's Tony Valentovich. I'm an ecologist, an upland ecologist, and I'm throwing my lot in really with under the loft residents wing. So I'm helping them on various documents and so on. But I'll be I hope to attend various inquiries and so on. But I'm here to support loft residents through James Finley as well. That's basically it. I couldn't attend the first meeting because of a power cut.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Now, the inquiry statements do set out who is intending to participate and present evidence at the inquiry and the hearing sessions. So thank you very much for that. And perhaps just developing what you said there, Mr. Valentovich and Mr. Finley, I'd just like to confirm whether you intend to participate directly in the inquiry session.
Not directly. I'll loft residents are preparing the submissions, which I am contributing to at this sort of draft stage.
Okay, thank you.
But I may wish to be in attendance if that's okay with everyone.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Finley, Borough Community Council's prepared a statement which contains a brief summary on landscape and visual matters, and they also make some comments on energy and planning policy matters. But in their cover letter, they say they don't intend to participate directly in the inquiry. And I just wonder how I should treat that statement that's been submitted.
Well, I'm hoping you're going to treat it by way of background. Obviously there's some material in there that I think Borough Community Council, if they were presenting their own witness, might have produced by way of background, for instance, for the landscape and visual session. And so rather than produce that or have Michelle Bolger produce that, Borough Community Council have produced that themselves. So we're hoping you would take it into account in effect as a written representation, but to provide background for both the sessions, to try and expedite matters and deal with matters as efficiently as possible. And I don't anticipate that should cause the applicants any problem, but if it does, we can of course hear from them.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. Mr. Trilling, you've got any comments on that matter?
Well, I was going to. I think Mr. Finley's clarified the position. It did seem a document that came out of the blue, and we weren't expecting it, because we understood and still understand that Borough Community Council comes under the umbrella of the Loft Residents Association at the inquiry through the advocacy of Mr. Finley. But I'm perfectly happy to accept, if you're happy to accept this inquiry statement at school as a written representation. There's nothing in it we can't deal with in one way or another. I just want to be absolutely sure that when it comes to inquiry reports in the oral session, that there is one party called Loft Residents Association, which does represent Borough Community Council, does represent the other parties who've already indicated they're happy to come under the LRA umbrella, but we don't have other parties coming in. Otherwise, I'm happy.
So I can confirm that there's at the inquiry session on landscape and visual, I will be representing all the relevant parties, subject to potentially Dr. Valentovich wishing to say something, but I haven't liaised directly with him as yet. But the intention is that Loft residents representing Borough Community Council, Helmsdale River Board and Dr. Valentovich will be represented by myself and one witness will be Michelle Bolger. And I don't anticipate that will expand at all. And if there's to be any change in that, I will obviously notify Mr. Trinick in the first instance and yourself in the second instance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Is that okay, Mr. Trinick? Any further comment?
It's totally clear, thank you.
Thank you very much. Just turning to item 4. Before we discuss arrangements for the...
That was fine for that particular point, but sticking with item 3.
Okay, sorry.
The additional information, included ornithological information, was submitted at the exact date. But what I do know is that the final date for responses is the 29th of September. and I anticipate there may be responses. What I want to make sure is that the applicant in that written representations process does have a right to final reply built into the procedure notice, maybe within 2 weeks of 29th September, and therefore by, sure I got my dates wrong, 14 October or thereabouts, 12th of October.
You preempted me. I was going to kind of come on to that when I was going to go through the additional information that I've received. But yes, I take your point. Okay. So I could just stick to my
Yes.
order of dealing with things, and we'll hopefully clarify that matter. But yeah. Yes, I just wanted to check progress on the submission of documents, given the changes to the timetable since our first meeting. So what I wanted to do is just go through those documents that I've received. I was quickly going to deal with the draft core document list. And Mr. Trinning, I just wanted to clarify that the final version will indeed include hyperlinks to each of the documents. The draft version is simply just a list of the documents.
Yes, so the list is going to be finalised by the 19th of September. I say that carefully because you have down on the 3rd of October submission of the final list. I think that's probably meant the submission of the core documents themselves. The list is going to be finalised on the 19th of September. It will include hyperlinks, but I'm not going to bring up the agenda any further, but we'll come on to talk about USBs later, I think. But the hyperlink will be there.
Yes, there was an error in the note of the first meeting, and I think we have clarified that the 3rd of October should indeed be the 19th of September. So yes. Okay.
Yes. So the 3rd of October is correct for the submission of inquiry reports, hearing statements, and the core documents themselves. But in terms of the final core document list, that's not in the schedule, but we will finalise it by the 19th of September.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now dealing with the package of information that we received at the beginning of the month, I've received the updated ornithology report. And first of all, Mr. Trinnick, I just wanted to confirm that the applicant has made arrangements to share the report, including some of the confidential elements of that report with Loth residents, and in particular with Dr. Valentovitz.
Yes, so it has been shared in the event that were no redactions required. And so we were able to share the entire document.
Okay. And this is the point I think you were just mentioning. The consultation responses are due by the 29th. And I just wonder if it's best for parties to comment on the consultation responses and set out their observations in a written submission, or would it be the intention to perhaps pick up these matters in inquiry reports?
I muted myself, honestly. Well, as far as I'm aware, there's going to be no oral process on ornithology, and therefore there will be no inquiry reports as such. What I'd anticipated is that it would be most efficient for people to use the 29th of September, not only to reply to the AIs, to make their final submissions on ornithology in the round, and then say within 14 days, the applicant would have a final right of final reply, and that would wrap up the written representations and the process for ornithology.
Okay. Mr. Finley, any comments on that?
That seems sensible. I haven't been made aware that anyone from under my wing, so to speak, has an issue with getting replies in by the end of September. It's quite appropriate for Mr. Trinnick's side to have a right of reply, obviously provided they don't introduce any substantive new material, and that if there's anything that Loth residents wish to respond to in the right of reply, they could pick that up in their closing submissions, which would again give Mr. Trinick and the applicants the final right to respond to that, because their closing submissions will come subsequent to ours.
Fine.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further comment, Mr. Trinick, on that particular matter?
Nothing that's absolutely fine. Just going back to the court documents. Could we ask through you and Mr. Finley that any documents notified as part of the list should actually be supplied to us electronically, so that we can put together the final court documents for electronic submission on the 3rd of October?
Okay, Mr. Finley? Yeah. Okay. I also received a revised outline habitat plan. And again, Mr. Trinick, I'm assuming the same will apply as we've just discussed for the ornithology report.
Yes, of course, the habitat plan isn't just about birds.
Indeed, yes.
Nevertheless, I'd be entirely content if the written representation process was to be wrapped into one. In other words, final comments by the 29th of September, with the applicants reply within 14 days.
Mr. Finley? You
Yes,
content with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, and then I received a bundle of information which updated the cumulative baseline position, included a ZTV analysis and wire lines from the A9, and also a number of wire lines from residential properties. Mr. Trinick, I'm assuming these are matters that will be addressed in the inquiry report, may be referred to in the inquiry session.
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Finley? Yes.
Yes, I would assume so too. I actually haven't seen them myself yet, and I know that we're still evaluating them, certainly on behalf of Highland Council.
I was just going to check with you, Mr. Finley, that the cumulative update, conscious that you said you haven't seen them, but it's whether the cumulative update includes the information the Loth residents actually sought and highlighted at the first pre-examination meeting.
I believe it does, but whether the format that it's been provided in, I'm not certain, and that's what we're evaluating at the moment. And you may have picked up in the Highland Council's inquiry statement, they'd raised a number of issues about information as well, to which there's been no response yet. I only raised that not as a just to make sure it's not lost. I'm not seeking a response today, but in terms of as I understand it, it does in broad terms meet what Loth residents wish to have. But as I say, we're still evaluating the format it's being produced in.
Okay. I did have this as a beg pardon, Mr. Trinick. I did have this as a matter to ask and to clarify with you, Mr. Trinick, about the comment in the council's inquiry statement, and I think it's at paragraph 5.1 at the very end, where the council makes reference to an email that they sent to the applicant on the 23rd of June, and I think they're seeking to highlight some discrepancy between some of the wireline drawings. Are you able to help with that just now, or is it something we need to address after the meeting?
Sorry to cut in there, but that's what I was going to deal with. That the initial intention was to deal with it in the evidence, but actually on reflection and having read the inquiry statement recently which came in, the last thing we want as inquiry is to be arguing about accuracy in front of you. So we will respond to the Highland Council very quickly now on those. We prepared answers, and we will get those answers in writing by the end of this week. And then we'll see where we are.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Okay, Mr. Finley?
Yeah, so that's very helpful, and indeed, if we can avoid having to argue about what's shown, that is helpful. It's also important that we understand what is being shown so that we can prepare our evidence accordingly, so that Mr. Trinick's offer is gratefully received, and we'll see what answers we get and can respond accordingly. But I've no doubt that hopefully it should resolve matters.
Thank you for that. Right, I've also received a draft conditions schedule. Now it's clearly marked draft, but I wonder if there's any intention to update the schedule before the hearing session. Perhaps I could ask you first, Mr. Trinick.
As always, it will be updated because there will be discussions, and we hope to narrow basis of disagreement. So can I just take instructions, ma'am? I'm saying
Yes.
Nicola Martin tells me that I'm being pessimistic. I now understand that everything has been agreed in terms of conditions, save for one point relating to the wording of the MOD condition. But that's the matter for the MOD to respond to rather than Highland Council. So I think we've done rather well on conditions.
Yes, I noticed the absence of any contradictory comments in the columns, so thank you for that. And then finally, I have received.
So before you leave that.
Oh, beg your pardon, Mr. Finlay. Beg your pardon.
Hate to introduce a possible discordant note, but I understand that is indeed the case. But on reviewing matters, I understand that Highland Council may be suggesting a further condition relating to the entrance, but that's something that I've no doubt can be dealt with offline and in accordance with the good progress that has been made so far. But my understanding is that there is going to be no substantive disagreement about conditions.
Okay, thank you for that, and sorry for missing you out there. And finally, I'll just say, just to confirm, I've received inquiry statements from the applicant, from the council, and loft residents. And in the coming weeks, I'd expect to receive a statement on agreed matters. There's been an exchange there where I think we've agreed a submission by the 14th of September. A final core document list on the 19th, inquiry reports and hearing statements on the 3rd of October, and precognitions on the 17th. So are we still, are parties still able to meet those dates for the submission of those documents? Mr. Trinick?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
Okay.
And there'll also be the core documents themselves on the 3rd of October.
Yeah. Mr. Finlay?
Yes, sir, that's fine. So I don't remember whether I raised this last time, but in terms of the memory stick, it's a point that arose at a different PM on Tuesday, whether you mentioned hyperlinks beforehand, whether that would include the full copies of every document rather than just hyperlinks. Could we request that so? Because otherwise, if we are going to have an in-person inquiry in particular, it's useful to have not rely on internet communication to have to download a document.
Okay. Well, I did dip into that pre-examination meeting on Tuesday, and I did actually just happen to catch the point you were making, and I was going to address that so just now. So but it seems as though I think you were all at the same meeting, weren't you? So yes, I understood that point. I will certainly take it up with the people at my office. It seems like a sensible thing to do. And I'll certainly see if there's anything to the contrary, I'll certainly let you know in advance. But the feedback I'm getting is that should be okay.
So that would be very helpful. And I reiterate that in past, both virtual and actual inquiries, it has enabled things to move more quickly.
Okay. I was just going to confirm the dates by which you should hope to receive the USB. So I think the office will certainly get to work as soon as the final documents, as soon as the recognitions have been submitted. They'll start work to put all that information onto the memory stick, and I'm told that they would aim to have these ready to send out to you by the 24th of October.
So if I may, that's welcome and thank you. But reviewing again from 2 days ago for examination meeting, your USBs are encrypted.
Yes, they'll be password protected, yes.
The difficulty, well, I don't know if it's a difficulty or not. My question is, will the encryption prevent you dragging more documents into the USB list after you receive the USB? Because documents do emerge late, they always do. Deep recognitions will be up. The other documents will come in. It's useful to be able to add them in, but if encryption prevents this, we'd rather have unencrypted USBs. And if your office can't do that, we can provide them.
Right, I did seek clarification on the encryption, and I'm told that's non-negotiable. It is Scottish Government guidance, so they will be encrypted. On your second point, I don't know the answer to that, but I can certainly take that up and make that clear in my notes of the meeting. So if I've caught you correctly there, what you're saying is if you can't do that, you would be happy to provide the USB
Right.
for the inquiry.
Yes, we would.
Okay. Okay, I'll certainly take that up with my my colleagues at the office, and I'll confirm that with you in my notes. Thank you.
Can I say that I'm grateful to Mr. Trinick for that, and we'd like to take advantage of his offer on behalf of both clients, because it not only in terms of uploading new documents, but marking documents that are already on the USB. If I can ask you to note that issue too. It's very useful to be able to highlight documents and then save them back onto the USB. Usually that doesn't cause a problem with encryption, but sometimes it has happened in the past.
Okay. I shall certainly take those points off. Is there anything else to say about documents before we move on? Okay. Looking at item 5, with regard to a venue for the inquiry, my office has made a provisional booking to hold the inquiry at the Brora Rangers Social Club at Dudgeon Park in Brora. The club has a room large enough for our needs. It has Wi-Fi and a large TV, which could be made available for our use. If parties are content to use the social club, access would be available from 1 o'clock on Monday, the 31st of October. This would allow people to set up, prepare for the inquiry the following day and the rest of the week. So I wonder if we can agree on the use of the social club for the inquiry. Mr. Trinick?
Sorry, so my mouse is misbehaving. I was trying to locate the mute button. Yes, perfectly happy.
Okay. Mrs. Finley?
Yes, thank you.
Superb. Just like to thank Ms. Royce for the suggestion of the social club and for making the initial inquiry. So thank you very much for that. Just a comment about the venue. While COVID rules and restrictions have been lifted, the virus sadly hasn't gone away. And for this reason, the inquiry and hearing sessions will be run in accordance with current Scottish Government advice on coronavirus. Now, at present, this means all those attending the inquiry will be strongly encouraged to wear face coverings when moving around the venue. Attendees will also be asked to maintain a 1 metre distance from others who are not in the same household, and the room will be arranged with those restrictions in mind. Water and glasses will not be provided, as was the usual practice before the pandemic, so parties may wish to provide their own. And if the guidance changes, my office will be in touch with all parties who are taking part in the inquiry as soon as possible. I was just going to say a few words about timings. My intention would be to commence proceedings on the 1st of November at 10 a.m. And then 9:30 each morning thereafter. I'd also intend to have a mid-morning and mid-afternoon break and sit to around 5 p.m. each day. Any comments on arrangements there and timings? Mr. Trinick?
I think so.
Okay, Mr. Finley?
No, thank you, sir. But could I possibly suggest that in any note of the meeting or publication, that the subsequent timings are said to be subject to alteration, because rather than pinning yourself to a particular time, it would allow flexibility. I only say that because at an inquiry Mr. Trinick and I were at Glendy, the advertised timings were 10 o'clock every day, and it prevented us moving to 9:30. Just that small point.
Okay, no, that's fine. I shall make that very clear.
So can I ask one question? The arrangements at the social club sounds unimportant, but actually it is important on the day. Are we able to leave papers in the room overnight?
I think there is a room, but I'll certainly clarify that. Yes, I'll certainly clarify that before I complete my notes, and I'll include it in the note. Okay. Right. Item 6, site inspections. Unfortunately, I've not been able to undertake unaccompanied site visits to the area or the viewpoints over the summer, but I will do so by the end of the month. I'll be travelling up to Brora on the 26th of September. I intend to visit most of the viewpoints and travel along routes assessed in the LVIA. However, if there are any viewpoints or features that parties in particular would wish me to inspect, perhaps you could let me know, not now, but certainly in the next week or so. I'd be happy to incorporate that into my itinerary.
So if I may, there may be one or two points that we wish you to visit on an accompanied basis, and my landscape witness is preparing a draft itinerary, which we'll then share with Mr. Finley on behalf of his parties. They may have things to add, and if we can come up with a finalised itinerary, would that be helpful?
That would be very, very helpful. So are you suggesting that this would be to help me see important things unaccompanied, but also with the opportunity to do it as an accompanied visit later on?
I think that won't be on the 26th of September is my guess. It is going to be later than that.
Right.
As a hopefully limited accompanied visit.
I mean, that would be very, very helpful indeed. Thank you. Mr. Finley, any thoughts?
So, provided we're all involved in the process, that seems sensible. And indeed, perhaps in terms of actual attendance to the site itself, if that was something you were thinking of doing, I understand that may require some assistance from transport-wise. I'm uncertain as to that, to avoid a long walk anyway. But that might be something that no doubt Mr. Trinick's thinking of in any event. But as long as we're involved in the process, that seems entirely satisfactory.
So that's fine. I want to revert to item 5 in a moment. There was a point I wanted to make, but I'll wait till you're ready for me on that.
No, I think I've said all I wanted to say on site inspection. So please do go ahead, Mr. Trinick.
It's not on the agenda as such, but what I'm mindful of is timing of the hearing section on policy and what else is happening, because this inquiry is taking place in the first week of November, and current best information, so far as anything is accurate, appears to be that MPF4 will be issued, approved by Parliament in November. Nothing is certain, but that seems to be the best information, along with the refreshed onshore wind policy statement and along with the refresh of the Scottish Government's energy strategy document. So we've got 3 documents coming out just after the inquiry. Now, in terms of the hearing session at the inquiry, therefore, it occurs to me, and I'm not making a statement, this is at the point for discussion, that focusing on SPP and MPF3 when they're about to become history is not necessarily sensible. We can certainly focus on local policy, and we can focus on national energy policy, at least at the UK level. But other things are going to change very quickly after the inquiry. And I suspect, indeed I'm pretty sure, that I will be suggesting to you that we need to have the opportunity to put further submissions forward on MPF and have a virtual, in person, a virtual hearing session to wrap up on national planning policy. Because these are major documents coming out which may have quite a material effect on your consideration of the policy evidence.
Okay, I hear that. If I heard you correctly, you're suggesting that we may not be in a position to have a meaningful discussion the week that we intend to hold the inquiry, but subsequent to the inquiry dates, we might have a virtual session to kind of deal with these matters. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. I think we can deal with local policy. That's fine. It's not going to change. We can probably deal with almost all aspects of energy policy. But for national planning policy, it seems pretty clear that SPP and MPF3 are likely to be consigned to history, to be replaced by MPF4, and there will be the other documents which I mentioned coming out, and they are important to your consideration of the evidence overall.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Mr. Finlay, your thoughts?
Well, so I think matters will be much clearer the week of or the week before the inquiry session as to whether we're actually getting finalised versions of those documents or not. So it may be that full use can be made of the hearing session, or it may be that Mr. Trinick's suggestion is entirely sensible. Provided that flexibility is built in, then that seems to be sensible. And any further hearing can be shortened and done online at a time that suits.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'll certainly bear that in mind. I think it does make sense, Mr. Trinick, and I'll certainly try and build in that suggestion into a programme. But yes, I hear what you say. Thank you, and I'll try and address that in my notes. Okay, thank you. I was just going to do just a couple of minor points. I was intending to issue a note of today's meeting, certainly by early next week at the latest. So that would be my intention. And I just wonder if there's any other business that we need to discuss before we close. So, Mr. Trinick, is there any other matters that you wish to raise?
No, thanks, Phil.
Okay, Mr. Finlay?
No, thank you, sir. Not as far as I'm aware, but being in separate rooms from those who I'm representing, either directly or indirectly, I'll give them the opportunity of adding at this stage. But I don't think there is any.
Okay. So is there anybody else that has any queries that they'd like to raise before we close the meeting?
No, thanks.
Okay, is that Ms. Royce trying to see her initials flashing on my screen?
No, I'm happy.
You're happy. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, well, thank you for your attendance today. I'll, as I say, try and get the note out to you as quickly as possible. I'll certainly try and clarify those knotty issues around the USB and how they might be used. And also, I hear what you say about the the policy matters. So, so with that, I'll close the meeting, and I look forward to seeing you in November. Okay, thank you very much.